Ladies, gentlemen, and of course none of the above, welcome to Quarantine. I am the sickest I have ever been before. But the series must continue, so I've been doping myself up with these pills. I know what they are, but they make the voices stop. I had a really cool idea for a puzzle, in fact a whole series of puzzles, about a year ago, and I actually started a very big and ambitious project, and then completely cancelled it after about a week worth of work. I still have the footage somewhere, and I'd like to revive that project sometime, so I won't tell you too much about it. But there was one really cool idea of a puzzle that I wanted to explore in that series, and it involves making another version of the 1x1x3 that I made in my first series of 30 Days 30 Builds. If you haven't seen that video, you should go and check it out, but I really like the way that I go about making these puzzles. It's just a couple centerpieces and a core, and depending on how you make them, you can make a lot of different variations. I've made the 1x1 cross cube, the 1x1x3, the 1x1x2, and I've also made a few other variations that didn't make it to my channel. What I want to build today is a 1x1x2 L, which is a core and two functioning pieces, but they're not on either side, they're adjacent to one another by 90 degrees. So let's get started. Alright, so let's get started with this build. So the first thing I'm doing here is I'm just scoring up the underside of the centerpiece. I want to make sure that there's a really good surface for the epoxy sculpt to bond to before I start pressing everything in place. You've got to remember that the plastic on these pieces is very smooth, and the epoxy sculpt doesn't like to hold on very well to that surface, so if you don't roughen it up, it ends up peeling off. After I finished scraping up the surface, this is what it looked like, and now it was time to get some epoxy sculpt out. But just before I did that, I got out a drill bit and I drilled 2 holes in each of the centerpieces. This is just so I can pull the screw out and treat the piece as a single cube, rather than having to work around that little screw sticking out of the bottom. I got the epoxy sculpt out and I filled in all of the gaps and cavities that needed to be filled in order to make each of these pieces a perfect cube. And after all the epoxy sculpt was hardened, the only thing left to do was to sand the pieces down into a perfect cube and then round over all of the edges. After that was done, all that was left to do was to just reassemble the puzzle, or I guess in this case not puzzle, and put some stickers on it. And here it is, the puzzle is done. Not bad for a few hours worth of work whilst I'm slowly dying, but I think this puzzle looks pretty cool, and these puzzles have always been a pretty significant attraction to my channel. For some reason, these kinds of videos get a lot more views than my regular videos, so if you're new here, hello. But anyways, I hope you guys like this puzzle, and I hope you guys like this video. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time.